Hello, everyone. Look, we're live.
Hi, did I get is this, what does this do? Is this different to, in the last program we were using and it would come up flash and flash? Are they getting a double screen or is?
Yeah, no, they're seeing what we see, that we're both there at the same time. And I
Oh, I
can
like this
change it.
better.
You can bring up to 6 people into this. I mean, Australian internet would shit itself if you did, but
Does that mean that I can't just sort of stay quiet for a minute and then pick my nose because I know the camera won't be on me?
you can look, in all seriousness, if you ever want to go off camera, just say it, I need to go off camera, and
Okay.
I can do this, and then you're not on camera. See? Yeah. It's very clever.
Do I have those controls? Can I get rid of you?
No, I'm in control. It's not a democracy here. It's not a democracy.
Still trying to figure out my camera angles and shit. I really need to fix up my bookshelves. They're so fun.
So I was just thinking, because Megaleech just asked if you can see chat, and the short answer is you can't. But I can send you a link. You can watch the chat on YouTube. I don't know if that gives you the Sorry?
Are they asking, can I see the chat?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I can't see it. Unless I go, my phone's charging, otherwise I sometimes have it propped up and I can sort of see the chat coming, but otherwise I have no idea what anyone is saying until Andrew reads something out or I look back later.
Well, yeah, you can watch it on YouTube, but there'd be like about somewhere between a 5 and 10 second delay, which might be a bit disorienting. Seeing yourself from 5 or 10 seconds ago.
Oh, it does. It's weird. Last week or before, whenever we were doing it, and I kept sort of looking and getting distracted by it, and I was like, "How come I'm talking but you're talking now?" And I could, it's that thing we were just talking about with mirrors. I'm not very good at.
So only I can see the chat. Viola's actually going to come and be physically here. She literally just lives up the road.
I can't believe that.
That was a big surprise. She's lived there for years, and I moved here. Well, I moved here 2 years ago, and she just went, "Oh, I live up near the train station," and I was like, "For real? Okay, cool." But she's been super busy. But we planned this a couple of weeks ago. Said, "Okay, when are you free?" And she's free. She has some time today, and I think again in 2 weeks, so we can have her in again in about 2 weeks.
Awesome. So what are you saying in the chat that I can't see?
Sorry, what was that?
I was just wondering what people were saying in the chat that I can't see. Is there anything good?
Saying hello and calling me the Führer because I said I'm a dictator. But if anyone wants us to talk about something in particular, now's a good time to get in, because once we get into the bit that's going to be recorded for a podcast, I'm probably not going to react that much to the chat unless someone says something hugely pertinent and I can slip it in. Or even better, if someone says something really intelligent and I can say it and pretend it was my idea.
And we go back later and read the chat and go, hang on. It wasn't you. Oh, I'm wearing my groovy headphones again. I've got my pilot on them, and excuse my hair. I'm all backwards and twisted, and I can't figure it out which part I'm brushing when I'm looking at it, and it's all that. But yeah, there's a microphone on my old laptop that has the proper camera on it. It doesn't work properly, so we tried this, and it seemed to work quite well when we had it on when I was watching YouTube playback. So so I've just I just got to grab the thing and it's on the wrong side. And even though I know it's there, I can feel it's there, but in my head it's mirrors.
Luby actually had a smart suggestion about chat. If you open the video in YouTube and pause the video, the chat keeps refreshing. So there would just be a still image there.
See, I still don't know. I can't see my screen. I'm not that computer savvy. Let's see if I can work that out while we're waiting. Everyone's so patient who watches us work this shit out. I can't see myself at all now. I'm on a completely different thing. So YouTube's coming up.
Look, That's the actual link. I just put. Oh, I just realised what I'm saying. Hey, if you want to see the video, I put the link in the chat, and you're trying
Well,
to
you're an
see.
idiot.
Oh my god. Okay. Okay, I'm
All
an
right.
idiot.
Oh wow, live now, Eva and Viola, and
Hmm.
you've got it's the picture that you've got is of us with those fucking ice poles we were deep throating. Is that the one?
That's the one. That was the first when I looked up the two of you for videos. That was the first one that popped up, and I'm like, perfect. Grab a screenshot of that.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So
I
if you
miss
click
those
on,
days so much.
yeah, if you click on
All
that
right.
thumbnail,
Oh, look, I
the
look
video.
really cute in the video. Oh, hello. Just a little freeze frame cover.
You pause the video and the chat will keep refreshing.
Oh,
So
hang on. Now I'm hearing us both. I need to. Oh, shut up, me. Hang on. All right, paused. Oh, all right. I've paused it. I wanted to let Eva know that I have not sent my copy of Eva's book in for signing. Oh, that's all right. Just bloody send it. Just for God's sake, I don't care about rudeness. I've got things sitting. I've got this whole pile. I don't know if you can of books and a big box of them that I'm supposed to be sending out to people and have supposed to be sending them out for months now, and they're not there. They're still sitting on my thingy. So please don't stress about that. I just when you get to it, send it and I will sign it and send it back. Yeah. Don't worry about the time.
yeah.
Don't feel bad.
So for anyone who wants a vibe for what we're probably going to talk about when we settle in with Viola, Eva recently published a column on getting your bits pierced, intimate piercings, as it were. So we'll probably talk about that.
Yep. Yeah.
And
Piercing. It's something that I don't have a lot of personal experience with though. But I want to. There's a few I want to get. I was saying before, I've had my tongue pierced, had my tongue pierced for years, and then it really fucked up my teeth, right, really badly to the point of I was going to look like a no-toothed hobo very soon. And I've got lots of kind of ceramic-y bits holding teeth together now because my tongue ring fucked it up. And that's my own fault for not going to a rubber ball when I should have when I first got it in. It was the metal that fucked it up. But yeah, other piercings I'd like to give a go.
And Viola, when we were chatting beforehand about what to talk about, she raised the idea of whorephobia in supposed female positive vibes. And yeah, Eva brought up a similar term that you might have heard people talking about a whoreocracy. And this is a conversation I'd be passenger in because it's not my area of expertise, but it'd be a fun topic to explore.
Oh, yeah, it's very fun. Oh, yeah, so much fun. I don't know if fun's really the word.
Oh, it's always
Yeah.
fun talking about people who are complete shitheads.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that part's fun. Yeah, actually, no, I get that. Yeah, no, it's the
Uh,
practice of both Viola's idea of sex workers and whorephobia and swerfiness sort of taking over feminist and female safe spaces. Same with turfiness as well. They're sort of often intertwined. And yeah, the hierarchy, which is, I guess, you sort of levels of eliteness within the sex industry, which can be quite, you know, frustrating when you're
yeah,
just trying to do your job. So yeah, it's an interesting topic. We could discuss that if we have
yeah,
time.
yeah. And it's interesting how often swerfs are also turfs and turfs are also swerfs.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's a lot of it's got to do with that the very very misogynistic side of radical feminism. This idea
Mm,
that there is one way to be a woman, and if you do not prescribe to that way to be a woman, then therefore you are not a woman in the sense that way that feminists in these extreme cases deem you to be a woman. And
mm,
that's that is so intertwined in misogyny and patriarchal thought of the these radical feminists that are all like, your body is your own and you should be able to do with it what you want. And sex workers are like, well, hi. Like, oh, no, not like that. And trans women are like, hi. And they're like, no, not like that. It's like, well, actually, you're kind of ruining the whole concept of feminism by explaining to me how I should or should not be a woman. That being a woman is the sum of what is in my pants and what I do with what I have in my pants. And I think that's bullshit. I think, it's, but they're definitely intertwined.
Yeah, because I'm old enough to, having been at uni in the 80s with older feminists who I laugh every time someone rants on the internet now about these feminazis. Dude, you have no fucking idea. All the feminists I know are really inclusive and really supportive and really open-minded. No, some of the lecturers I had at uni were like, yikes! As you say, you started to see a real misogyny. Oh no, what's the made-up word for it? Misandry. I know it's not made up. It's just like it's not a thing that exists.
Yeah, I know. I remember you and I many years ago doing a talk on that awful Dr. Caroline Norma from RMIT, and she's still there, and there's still a bunch of them like that. These very strong, kind of strongly worded, outspoken feminist academics who are so anti-sex work and anti-sex workers and anti-trans rights and trans women and non-binary people. And it's this sort of, I remember when I first sort of started to get into sex work activism and sort of using my position as a sort of, I suppose, prominent sex worker within the media to sort of give my voice to people that don't often have their voices heard, and coming across these academics, and I was like, you should be smarter than this. How are you not smarter than this, that you look at women as these, just another sort of object? But unlike men, you look at us as non-sexual objects, even if we want to become sexual people or use that as a trade or a service or a monetizing thing. I don't know. It's depressing. It's really depressing, especially as I was a student at RMIT writing my books about sex and sex work and all this, and feeling like you kind of, up against a barrier within the institution that is supposed to be educating and allowing you to express your freedoms and your thoughts and all that. And that was an interesting time, although I wasn't ever around her, and the school that I was in was very different to where she was. You feel it. It's similar to how I talk about living up in paradise, when you feel like the world is against you. It's a tricky place to be. You feel I don't know, trapped a little bit, because you're sort of supposed to be where everybody, supports you in a university or something, and then to hear those sort of things coming out of the mouths of the people.
I hear the door. That would be Viola arriving at the door.
My goodness, it's been so long since I have seen Viola.
Yes, well, this is a chance to say hello. Come on in. We're talking to Eva on the internet now.
On the internet device. I brought candy.
Oh, nice.
But guess what candy I brought?
What candy did you bring? Oh my gosh, was it lollipops?
No.
I had curly ones. I had a curly whirly the other day, and I felt like I was again.
Excuse me while I dry off a moment.
Okay, you can prepare yourself.
Oh, it is so good to see you. I love you. Oh, I feel a little squealy, but I'm not going to get squealy, because then ears will go.
Do it.
Yeah.
I'm not a squealy person. I just
actually, what
I walked here and it rained.
All right, I might actually close this thing behind us too.
Okay.
There we go. Just look.
Okay. Where'd everyone go?
I'm I'm not actually on screen at the moment.
I feel
Okay.
like I look weird without my glasses on. I don't look like me without my glasses on.
You get used to yourself in a certain way. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So
I'm just reading through the chat, seeing if there's.
chat.
Oh no, no,
Okay.
it's all right, Mega Leech. If you send it, I promise I'll send it back because there's someone. Yeah, no, all good. I will do it. I promise.
All right. So are we all settled in and ready to go?
Pre-warning, if I go at any point, it's because I had a cholera vaccine this morning.
No.
And it is nasty.
No.
Oh my God.
Where are you going? Where's your next big trip?
India.
Hence the cholera vaccine.
Yeah.
India.
Yeah. I'm just going for a week. But I had to have all of these vaccinations because it's a work trip.
Mm.
Oh wow.
So they're like, OHS, everyone get a vaccination.
We don't want you to die on
Please
a work
don't
trip.
die while you're covered under our insurance.
Oh wow. And what does that vaccine do
at
to
any
you?
point.
Is that similar to I had one recently that I just was so sore and horrible from. I can't remember what one it was now. I don't know.
I had tetanus and
that's the one that
measles,
really
mumps, and rubella, but tetanus is really like it hurts still. I got the jab on Friday,
yeah,
and
it
like I
feels
still
like
can't move my arm properly.
yeah.
And then I had the Hep A and typhoid in the other arm, and that one's totally fine.
Yeah, no, it's like
notorious.
reacts with the muscle in a tetanus one that makes it feel like you've been
because it's like a small dose of botulism.
Yeah,
and like that's a muscle contraction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Heidi's asked, do you have an active YouTube channel, Viola?
No, not anymore.
Okay.
Fuzz.
All right, fair enough. So do you want a beverage or anything before we start? Pepsis or lemonade or fruit juices or water or
lemonade?
Lemonade? All right.
Have a Pepsi. No, I don't want Pepsi. I'm lying. I hate Pepsi. Pepsi tastes like.
I'm also anti-Pepsi.
I really hate it. Even the coldest, freshest Pepsi tastes like warm, flat Coke. I can't. It's weird. Pepsi.
But not sponsored by them.
But mixed with something. It's like. I think it's because cola is like that caramel flavor. But Pepsi's something all on its own. I think it's like closer to root beer, and I don't like root beer either.
I don't know what it is. It just does not taste. I don't know. I mean, I don't drink fizzy much anyway, and I very rarely drink fizzy colas, Coke, Pepsi, or otherwise. But no, Pepsi, there's something about it, and it sucks because the only time I ever really, really have fizzy food is if I'm eating really greasy food.
Yeah, you kind of need it to break up the pizza
best food to have. But the only thing KFC is Pepsi as a cola, and you can't. It just doesn't work. Cheers.
All right. All right. So, yeah, I did try to bribe you with a cocktail earlier.
I don't think I can drink alcohol.
No, not if you're feeling iffy from a cholera injection. No. All right.
It's a drink.
You actually drink it?
Cholera vaccine is a fizzy drink, and you have to have 2 doses. So I had the first dose today. I have to have the second dose next Sunday. Yikes. And then for Hep A, to have like lifelong immunity for Hep A, I have to get another injection in 6 months.
Yikes. Okay.
Yeah. But
immunity is pretty good.
Yeah. I was having a discussion with people. I'm like, if you're in the financial position and the non-immunocompromised position to be able to get vaccinated, and you're going into a situation where there's even a mild risk of contracting a disease, I feel like you're kind of responsible to get that vaccine. You might carry, a lot of these things have a waiting period. Imagine carrying this back into Australia. I'm going into a really low risk area, but the risk is still real.
Vaccines and be vaccinated. I think it's one of those things that I cannot understand the anti-vaccination movement beyond almost any of those anti-science movements. That anti-vaccination one is one that, because it has such immediate consequences. You know, the anti-climate change and the flat earthers and all that, as much as the anti-climate change is quite frightening as well, it doesn't have that almost immediate effect of, no, this will kill a child almost immediately if they contract measles and they're doing chemo, or if they contract, whooping cough while they're immunocompromised for any other reason. And if you have the body to be able to be vaccinated and you don't, and you withhold that from yourself or your children, I think you're fucked up.
Yeah. And
Any
think
of you
about
out there
that.
vaccinate fucking crotch goblins. Because, I mean, one of my best friends died from complications of lupus from being infected with preventable flus and diseases and things that just fucked her up because she couldn't be vaccinated, and she ended up dying.
That's just awful.
It's just fucked. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I work with disability now, and I've got a bunch of kids that I look after that have, suppressed immune systems and things where they can't be, and it's getting scarier and scarier out there for these kids. So yeah, fucking vaccinate if you can. Good on you, V.
Also, might actually put a light on, because we're having very weird weather in Melbourne, where it goes sunny, cloudy, sunny, cloudy, sunny, cloudy. So just to stabilise a bit.
I live a 15-minute walk from Angry's house, so I actually have no excuse not to be here more often.
I know. When he told me that you lived up the road, and I'm so jealous.
Yes.
Please tell me in detail, how lovely is the warm weather? Is it nice up there?
It's actually quite nice today because it's not too humid. But I don't. Once it starts, give it a couple of weeks and it starts warming up consistently here, I find it really hard. Actually, it's like swimming as you walk through this. I could handle a 40-degree day in Melbourne more than I can handle a 28-degree day up here. It's full on. But it was nice when we had the pool. Our new place doesn't have a pool, and so I can't just sort of jump in and cool off, and so it gets very sweaty. But it's not bad. It's whale season at the moment, so once it warms up a little bit more, I'll be going down to the beach and watching the whales, so that's nice. Yeah, no, it's all right. It's all right. I think I'm a bit more down on it because I fucking hate it. So, but it is beautiful.
There's no good coffee.
But you live in paradise. I'm like, yeah, but I have no friends, so there's no one to enjoy it with. No, it's
magic
all right.
of the internet brings us together.
This is great.
All right, I'm going to gear us up to start for the bit of the recording I'll use for a podcast.
A podcast.
So, what are we going to start the conversation with? That's a big one.
I heard we were going to discuss body modification.
Yeah, okay, we want to start with piercings, and us being us, it's going to go all over the shop. So, so I'll give it a 2-second silence, and then I'll do my professional podcast introduction.
I've never done a podcast before, so this is my podcast cherry.
There you go.
Ooh.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining for this discussion. I have with me the fabulous and multi-talented Viola.
Hi, everyone.
And Eva.
Hi. Sound like a velociraptor.
What's wrong with?
Dinosaurs are great.
You've all just frozen. Oh no, there you are. Oh, technology.
This is the thing we always have to throw in as well, because we're doing this for people in different locations, and Australia's internet sucks. Sucks so much.
Yeah.
But so there's dropouts, but we're professionals and we'll work around it.
We'll make it work.
We are.
Make it work. And we've discussed where we're going to start today's talk. Among her many talents, Eva publishes regularly. And you did write a column recently about, piercing your bits, intimate piercing. And I don't have any.
Are you frozen? I can't see you.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. Oh, there you are. So
Okay,
start that bit
well,
again because I missed most
all
of
right.
that.
Did you miss the audio as well?
Yeah, it just freezes. Just goes.
Oh, okay, because I saw the video freeze, but your audio was still fine.
Oh no! See, I'm moving and can see me, but it's you guys that freeze.
Okay. Yeah, no, I actually saw even at our end, it just momentarily went, I'm not working.
Oh, you're back now, though.
You know what? Okay, actually, we'll start from scratch. If you two hang out, I have an idea. I'll be back in a moment.
He's an ideas man. All right, it's now us. Let's do something naughty.
Oh, it's so weird. I'm still getting used to the fact that this is on everything's mirrored.
Yeah.
While I'm trying to, and I get so confused.
And I don't know which hand.
I know, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm like, no, hang on, that should be on that side. And I want to move my head that side. I'm like, oh no, that's wrong. I want to go. Yeah, it's all very confusing.
Yeah.
Which is why I keep moving back and forth. And if I'm going to go, what are people saying in the chat? Can you see? Is there any good stuff? Because I can't see. I can't split my screen.
It's mostly about the lag, TBH.
Yeah,
it's
right.
mostly about lag.
Yeah, we get the
we're
lag.
We're doing our best, guys. We're trying.
It'll be all right once Andrew gets through and edits to make it a podcast. Oh, that way. No, that way.
Yeah, a lot easier.
Whichever way.
I have my own experiences with intimate piercing to share.
Ooh, I can't wait.
That point of the conversation. I want to hear your setup first, though. I want to know about your research, and then I'll tell you about my experience.
Oh, we'll see. Yeah, look, it wasn't really research as such about, it was just a sort of a list of all the different ones you could get. So
there's so many.
Kind of like a glossary of terms. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I was so surprised. I thought, oh yeah, Prince Albert, clitoral hood, few more. But my gosh, there are so many, and I didn't even put all of them into the piece because I couldn't. It was a word count and stuff. What is he doing?
He's
attempting to go off Wi-Fi and onto Ethernet.
There might be a dropout as we switch over. Be careful.
Bum, bum, bum.
You're on NBN, yeah?
Sorry?
You're on NBN here, right?
Yes.
That means nothing.
That's not working.
It's not going to work.
It's...
Luigi says the Australian government needs to remember to feed the hamsters that power our internet.
Yeah.
There's actually more cable.
There's more cable. Too bad we don't have cable internet. Oh.
Well, I had cable internet.
Yeah, this is the cable area.
And they changed it to NBN, which was actually faster.
If I randomly say, ooh, cholera at any point during the session. Ooh, cholera. It's a feeling. Replace the hamsters with rats and feed Barnaby Joyce to them.
Yes.
That's a lot of food.
Okay, so.
Yeah, but
he just seems to have a lot of flesh.
Barnaby?
Yeah, think about it. There's a lot of...
You feed a lot of rats.
A lot of flesh there. I mean this in a really awful, selfish way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. I mean this in the worst possible way.
Right. So did you fix your thingo?
It should be more reliable because we've got a direct connection now. So I'm not relying. So, okay, I'm going to reset and I'm going to do our introduction again.
All right.
Are we ready?
No, but let's go anyway.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us with this discussion with me today. I have Viola.
Hi, everyone.
And Eva.
Hello.
And anyone who has watched old videos on the Angry Aussie channel, it was about 5 years ago, we were semi-regularly making videos together. and Eva wandered off to the wilds of Queensland.
I'm sorry. I really am.
Don't even give up coffee for sunshine.
So I'm going to.
It was a really bad decision.
Any technical flaws and lag we have, because we're relying on Australia's internet, which sucks, the big one.
It does.
But I've tried a few technical fixes, so we might be okay. And I'm just realizing you might get some fun ambient noise around us because it is raining. So that might be a pleasant sort of ambience to add to the whole thing.
Hot right now.
It is. ASMR so hot.
It's the thing. Like, it's audio files everywhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I often record the audio for my videos on a little Zoom recorder that is a stereo mic'd thing. And I saw this video that cracked me up on YouTube the other day. There's some weird cartoon character. He said, "Who quietly talks you to sleep for 10 hours?" It was a 10-hour video. And I just thought, I could do that. I'll do like angry ASMR. I probably won't just record for 10 hours. I'll probably do it in half-hour bursts and edit it together. Just do things like, "Hey, how's it going? The world really sucks now. Don't worry, go to sleep. It's not your fault." Stuff like that.
You're all going to die in a fire one day.
Relaxing, beautiful. I love it.
Can you imagine like the sort of ridiculous crap I'd come up with over a 10-hour span and run out of rant?
Can you just write down all of like the random weird dark thoughts that come into your head for a week and then
yeah. That's more than 10 hours worth, all the dark thoughts that pop into my head.
Hashtag ASMR.
Yes.
Throw it in there.
So yeah, we were going to talk today. This is how our conversations always go, which is why I'm so glad to get the gang back together. But we were normally going to frame it with some topics. Like Eva, and her many talents, writes for a few publications and websites, and you did publish one recently on piercings, intimate piercings, piercing your beards.
I have a few thoughts on this, but I want to hear what Eva found out.
So yeah, what was give us the summary of what you wrote about the piercings.
The summary is basically there are so many ways to stick metal spikes through your junk and your bits, and some of them seem to be a lot easier to get than others, and some I still can't quite wrap my head around why or what or quite how, where, but I found it really fascinating. And I've read a few interviews with people. Although the article itself is just more of a glossary of different terms and different styles of genital piercing, I did read a bunch of interviews with people and how it had worked for them and the sensations and the things. One thing that I didn't put in the piece, although I think I might have mentioned it a bit about body modification, but it's what they call purling, which is slightly different to piercing. And it's like getting little pearls or metal balls put under the skin of the shaft of the penis. So, like in rabbit vibrators, how they have the spinning pearls. So they are actually designed and based around this, and I will get it wrong, so I won't try and specify, but some island cultural body modification that a group of people do to their bits, and they call it purling or something like that, and it's ribbed for pleasure, and it looks really quite, not like, as a sex worker, one of the things we're trained to do is look at body bits and be able to quite quickly assess whether something is an ingrown hair or a wart, or whether something looks quite right or quite right, those sort of things. And these do not look right. They really don't look like penises should look. So that was a really interesting little aside that I found looking at genital body modifications, was the purling, or there was a balling, or there was another word for it. But yeah, that was fun. But otherwise, just there are a lot of different ways to put little hooks and baubles into your bits, and some of them look really cool.
The purling one, that was actually adopted by the Japanese Yakuza. It was a part of a thing they do. And because Japan culturally is a seafaring nation and has a lot of cross-cultural connections all through from the South Pacific to Russia. There's
And I feel like this is a
cross-cultural-
South Pacific tribe that I'm remembering in what I was looking. So that sounds about right. Yeah, if the Japanese have taken it from their trade stuff.
I just thought I'd share. Yakuza have pearls in their wee-wees.
A friend of mine left the Yakuza. I'm going to have a chat with him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my daughter's going to
underbelly. Under.
Under the belly. Yeah.
It wasn't even planned.
Yeah, underbelly. Yeah.
Well, that's the way it works best.
Yikes.
Funny.
Yeah.
There's a book, and it was published way back, like in the 80s and 90s, when tattoos and piercings were still a bit fringe. I mean, tattoos particularly are quite mainstream now, and you have to get quite extreme for people to even notice you now. But there's a book called Modern Primitives that was published in like the 80s or 90s, and then someone had gone to a lot of research to people who were really going there with body mods. And there was some great. That's where I got the thing with the pearling, that the Japanese Yakuza had adopted this thing of, and they use actual pearls because pearl fishing is a big thing in Japan, and they actual pearls under the skin and stitch them up and they heal in. But there were some wild stories. Like, okay, the proper name, Eva, what is the name of the piercing on a male that goes laterally through the penis?
Oh gosh! I don't have my thing on me. I can't remember. The Prince Albert is the
ring.
Is the ring through the bar through the top and through the head. So through the like that. I'm so bad at the visuals. Oh gosh, I can't remember. I would have to look. I could bring it up on my thing if you give me a second.
Maybe for those playing at home, where is this published?
Oh, it's published on adultmatchmaker.com, like most of my articles that we talk about.
Do you link it on like your deliciously bad Facebook page? Do you link all your articles there? Don't you?
I'm on Twitter. I'm pretty sure the link on Twitter is to it, but I've just pulled it up now. So let's have a look. Your definitive guide to genital piercing. Here we go. Because there was all sorts of different names, and some of them are known by a couple of different names as well, depending on which country and the sort of vernacular and slang of different parts of the world. So on the penis, let's see.
I think the folklore
that's the amperlang that you're talking about, that goes horizontally through the head of the penis. And then you've got the apodavia, apodravia, I think it sounds Russian, apodravia, that goes the other way. So it's rather than horizontal, it's vertical. So, and then you can get one that's both of them together, so it makes this cross, and I think that's the magic cross, I think, is the magic cross. So it's and then you've got, there was one that they've got that you can kind of thread through, and it sort of goes all the way down the shaft down to the testicles or under the perineum. It's if you want to. I've never been with somebody who's had a genital piercing. I've been with women, but not with men that have had anything. Oh, is this a good story?
Viola, are you willing to share a real life story? Okay, story time.
Tell your story.
Story time with me. So my first story is somebody that I had slept with who had a Prince Albert. And this was during a period of time in my life before I entered into the adult industry, and I was a little bit unwise about some of the decisions that I made around sexual health, and wasn't using a condom because I was being foolish and young, and you think, oh, I'm going to live forever, it's going to be fine. So we're doing the deed, everything's wonderful and great. I do me, he does him. Switch the lights on to clean up. Blood everywhere. Blood everywhere. Think about the messiest period sex that you've ever had, except it's not your blood.
Oh no!
It had tugged a little bit. And it's not necessarily a hygiene issue, because sometimes even like your ear piercings and things like that, they get a little bit and it's like it wasn't necessarily a hygiene issue. This is someone that to this day I would still trust hygienically, and with his own sexual health as well, I would trust him to this day, which is lucky. But yeah, it had just pulled a little bit and it teared the skin slightly, and because there's so much blood flow going down there while you're erect,
right, of course.
it was like a horror movie.
And they couldn't feel it at all that they'd torn it?
No, because you're kind of like in the moment. It was kind of just like a little, and then it's like, and, you know.
That's the scientific explanation. It was
and I think one thing that's actually stopped me from getting one, because I've always really wanted to try a clitoral hood piercing, because I've heard amazing stories about, you know, walking upstairs. I'm pretty sure one of these stories have come from you back in the day as well. It's a lot of because I've been wanting to do this for ages, and I'm sure we will have discussed it. And that kind of, is it true that you can't walk upstairs without orgasming and all that sort of stuff? And I really want to try one, but at the same time, just those moments where you know, I was talking about it on Twitter the other day, where you get a front bum wedgie, where, you know, your labia and your vulva kind of attach, you know, suck up the undies, and you got to try and while you're walking and it's really uncomfortable, and it can be quite painful, and especially if you're wearing jeans and you've got like lace undies or something on, it really. And so that worries me, because if that's just a bit of lace and a bit of denim making me and I don't even have particularly prominent labia or anything, and I, you know, they're usually quite sort of tucked up and stuff, so I'm worried. What happens if I catch it on such and then, you know,
I'm not gonna lie, it feels like you're dying. I had a vertical clitoral hood piercing for quite a while. When you first get it done, sitting down is very difficult. Using the bathroom is kind of difficult.
In a pain way?
In a burny kind of way.
Yeah. So like if you like, have you ever kind of accidentally nicked yourself while shaving your bits? That kind of painy when you try and pee afterwards?
Yeah,
like
that.
I see. Yeah, okay. So that's kind of tolerable.
It's like it hurts in the moment, then immediately after it stops.
Yeah.
And yeah, it does get caught on lacy bits sometimes. And it does get caught, especially on the seam underneath jeans.
Yes. See, that's I felt that. I felt that as you said it.
Something worse that I can share.
Oh, yikes. Okay.
Please tell us your worst story.
I had to remove mine.
Why?
So I'm a pole dancer. And I was stripping for many years before I was a pole dancer. And there's quite a few differences between stripping and pole dancing that is a whole other conversation in and of itself.
Yeah.
But
I've done pole dancing. There's no way I could do stripping, and that's not because I'm not a stripper. It's like I have no skills.
Yeah, honestly, I think back now to when I was stripping. I was like, oh wow, how did I make any money?
I'll put the hand up. Why would you make any money? Because it's very easy to make men go, yeah, there's a lady there.
It can be, but you find that the ones that are going into, like, I used to do the earlier night shift because I'd get tired, honestly, and want to leave early. But if you're doing the earlier shift, you got to hustle harder than you do in the later shift because they're drunk already. Passed away over there drunk. You've got to deal with sober hustle first thing of the day. But there's this move as a pole dancer, and it's called different things in different places. But we call it in my studio, and I feel like this is quite accurate. It's called cookie bagger.
Yeah.
Cookie bagger.
Banger.
Cookie bagger. And you hold yourself up just like this. You're about yeah, and then you swing your legs forward, you swing your legs back again, and then you swing your legs forward again. And you hold on really tight with the thighs, and then you hang upside down and you do all this other stuff. Or you can like wrap your legs around a pole and you can do like a sick tumble. And it's really fun. except when you smash your cookie into the pole. And one time I did it so hard. I can laugh about it now. One time I did it so hard that I fell 2 meters to the ground, and the piercing actually fell out somehow. It had the ball at the end, like the ball just detached itself.
Oh, far out.
And then I couldn't find it, right? So I quickly like took the piercing out of my nose, because that one's going to stay open forever, and I quickly shoved it in there, which is not hygienic. Not hygienic, but I needed to keep the piercing hole open at the same gauge.
Yeah.
It was a same gauge metal. So I quickly just shoved it in there so I wouldn't lose it. And then like the next day I was at home having some me time. I'm having a procrastinate, and I was like, that's weird. So I reach inside of myself with my 2 fingers. I'm like, there's something weird going on there. And then I'm suddenly not moving anymore. I found the piercing. It was inside of me. Like it was somehow
You had to like oh,
in the vaginal cavity.
Jesus.
And that was the day I decided that I didn't want to have a clitoris piercing.
Wow. So maybe I don't want to get a piercing. No, I still do. But
there's some really great benefits.
Yeah.
Intimately. I'm very fortunate in that I'm the kind of person who doesn't struggle to orgasm through clitoral stimulation, or I definitely orgasm easier through clitoral stimulation than I do through G-spot stimulation.
Yeah, me too.
Kind of felt like cheating. The intensity goes up, the frequency goes up, the time taken to reach orgasm is significantly shorter.
How did you feel now that, so you've taken it out now, you don't have it anymore?
Yeah, I've taken it out.
And so how is that really different? Like, have you found that, oh shit, I can't come as easily or as quickly or as whatever, or?
No, it's the same as it was before I got it. Like kind of normal. There was no
but you don't feel like you're missing out or you've lost something. Because I mean, I orgasm fairly easily and well anyway. I don't have any problem there at all. I wouldn't do it. So sometimes I think maybe I orgasm too quickly, and maybe this would just be like, ridiculous, and I can't do anything. But at the same time, that would be quite fun as well. And, I spend a lot of time working from home. So, but I also spend a lot of time at the moment walking around with young people and young kids. And so I'm really not sure.
Yeah,
I don't think it would be very appropriate in the job that I do at the moment.
Get it done by someone who's qualified, first of all. You can't get it done by like your normal piercer. Like you wouldn't go even someone who would be doing like facial piercings other than ears, like nose piercings, eyebrow piercings, tongue and cheek piercings, nipple piercings, I wouldn't get it done by the same person anyway. It's a completely different skill, and not everyone is suitable for that piercing as well. So you really got to go in for a consult first, and they'll usually do the consult the same day that they do the piercing. You say, hey, I'm interested in getting this. Can I get a consultation and potentially a piercing if it works out? And what they'll do is you'll sit on the table like you're about to get a gynecological exam. And they'll take like a sterile toothpick and some ink, and they'll mark you up to see if it lines up vertically. I had a straight bar put through. They'll mark you up to see if it actually is going to work with the shape of your anatomy. For some people, it's inappropriate to get it because it's not going to work with the shape of their anatomy. It's not going to be either aesthetically pleasing or it's not going to sit well within the skin. For other people, it works fine. And for some people, like maybe it's not going to be aesthetic, but physically it's not going to have any negative impacts on their body, and they'll choose to do it anyway. For other people, it's more about the aesthetic and not so much about the physical impact. And you kind of got to like discuss that with your piercer. But I think it's really important to do this piercing. So I felt quite confident in their ability.
I think that's the really important bit, though, is that your bits are so much different to any other part of your body when you're going to get it looked at. In that sense, you do need a sort of specific trained person and do your research and find out other people who have had it done and where they would recommend, and don't just go to your first kind of thing you've pulled out of the yellow pages, because yeah, it might not be the best for you. But wow,
So what you're
Al, that
saying-
just both of those stories
Yeah.
kind of, I still want to get it, but I'll just be slightly less excited about
Anyone who says that they're interested in getting it done, just think about like your physical lifestyle and your activity choices. I thought about getting my nipples pierced not long ago after I had to take out my clitoris piercing because I wanted something for me. And again, because I'm a pole dancer, it wasn't appropriate for me. Someone that I dance with at the same level of skill got hers done, and it ended up infected. It would get hit quite frequently. She had to go back in and get it fixed by the piercer as well. She needed a different size jewelry put in during the healing process and then went back down again. And I had in the end, aesthetically, it looks great, like 10 out of 10. But again, like those are the kinds of things that you need to consider. Like, are you actively engaging in activities that are going to impact the area that you're getting pierced, whether it's your ears, your nose, your chest, your genitals, like
we had a conversation about this earlier before we went to air about my tongue ring, and the reason I don't have it anymore is it really fucked up my teeth, like to the point of, and there were things I could or should have done, like using a rubber ball rather than a metal ball for, because I had it for, God, years. I got it long before it was cool to have it done, and I just would run it against my bottom teeth constantly, like across there. And I now have to have, like, there is a ceramic plate kind of stuck, I don't know, they've molded stuff and then they dry it and it goes rock hard all along the bottom of my teeth there to hold one particular tooth in place that was almost ready to fall out. But because of this stupid gum disease I've got, they couldn't put a screw in to just screw the tooth in and hold it there. So I had to take my tongue ring out. I've had it out for about 3 years now, and I miss it a lot. I loved it, but I also kind of like my teeth. And, apart from that, my teeth are fairly healthy, and I've got no fillings. I've got no anything, but I've got little chips and then this fucked up bottom jaw purely because of a tongue ring that I kind of, didn't really think about. And, when you're young, you're in your, I think I got it done, it was before my daughter was born, and she's 15 now. So, maybe 20, 25 years of having it done, and, many music festival and a grinding of teeth, if you know what I mean, really did not. And the kind of stuff that your mouth action that you do, I really didn't think about it because you're young and invincible. And now I'm in my 40s going, oh shit, not that invincible.
My takeaway from this is, if you want an intimate piercing, just like go to those people in the shopping mall with the guns they buy through years. It's going to be over really quickly. Just like
look, I'm not sitting in the back of a Terry White chemist with my legs in the air with some teenage kid on work experience.
Oh yeah, a work experience teenager with one of those. Just go, okay, just hold your bits out. Ka-chunk!
Yeah,
just
done.
Yeah, you just hold your. I got it.
Yeah. Bling. Oh no, there was one of the piercings that I wrote about was one that goes in through the urethra. It's a vaginal vulva type piercing. It goes in through the urethra and comes out through the vagina. And it was called I think that's the Christina or the Isabella. It was, where am I?
Wowzers.
I'm interested.
Yeah.
No, the Isabella goes actually through the clitoral shaft rather than your clitoral hood.
Not a chance. No.
Oh, it's the Princess Albertina. So it's kind of the female or the vulva version of the Prince Albert. So it goes in from the urethra and comes out through the whole of the vagina, rather than the Prince Albert goes in through the top of the head and comes out through the urethra.
Yeah, you'd have to go quite deep to come back out the top.
Yeah, it's quite a long gauged needle. And one of the things, because in the piece I do write about the different things that can go wrong with a lot of these piercings and the different risks that you take with it, because they can be quite full on, and some of them will end in permanent nerve damage, like getting the actual clitoris pierced, which is one that people don't quite realize. When you talk about getting your clit pierced, you're actually not getting the actual clitoris. It's the hood over the clitoris that is not covered in a billion different fucking nerve endings. Or, so you've got, but the ones that go through the actual clitoris, which if they work can be apparently amazing, but if and more likely they are to go wrong and hit a nerve, it can cause permanent damage or permanent pain. And I think I'd rather be permanently numb in that area than permanently in agony in that area, but neither are particularly appealing outcomes. Just to look a bit, shiny, is just get a vajazzler and sort of just stick them on if that's the case.
Just bedazzle your juts.
The folklore I heard about the Prince Albert is that it's literally named after a member of the British royal family, a Prince Albert. And the men's fashion at the time was super tight pants. They were still dressed like dandies at this point. But a genital outline on the super tight pants was regarded as poor form. And Prince Albert came up with this thing with the piercing through the head of the penis, and then that was hooked onto something on the inside of the pants that sort of pulled everything to the side and gave a nice aesthetically pleasing line to the groinal area of these tights. It's probably not true, but it's a great story.
It's a great story nonetheless.
That he used to actually hook his penis
inside of it. Era tucking.
Yes. It was up to the side rather than down through the legs.
Just gaffer tape it.
Look, gaffer tape.
Gaffer tape is look. I think gaffer tape.
Sorry.
Oh, I was just singing the praises of gaffer tape. Because it's great stuff.
I've had my own in the past, so compared with pole dancing.
Look, and I suppose there are those. You put your gaffer tape pasties on or whatever. It could help.
Yeah. Oh, I usually do band-aids.
Oh yeah.
A line. But yeah, I've had usually when you compete, you do like tape, and then you'll wear like 2 or 3 pairs of knickers over the top.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter like how many pairs of undies you wear. As soon as you're doing a splitty. There's this one particular brand of pole wear where it doesn't matter like what you do. You are going to show the world
the bits. Yeah.
And
that's the one thing about pole dance, that because I really got into pole dancing myself just for fitness. It was never I am incredibly uncoordinated. I cannot dance. I don't want to dance. I don't want to be a dancer, but I think pole dancing is really incredible exercise, and I did it for about maybe a year back in Melbourne, and I've never been fitter and I've never been stronger, and I fucking love it. I've got a pole here that my old landlord made me take down. I wasn't allowed to have it down in our garage, and there's nowhere in my new place to put it up, so that sucks. But I wanted to just do it for the fitness, and my coach, the teacher was always like, right now we're going to put it into a routine, and I'd be like, no, I don't know how to do that body roll thing, and I don't know how to twerk or whatever the fuck it was called at the time. Like I want to pull myself up, I want to flip myself upside down, I want to hold myself, I just want to do the moves. And so that's sort of one of the reasons I stopped doing pole, was because it started to become more of a dance class, and that's not, and I'm trying to find somewhere up here. There is a pole fitness class up here, but it clashes with my work shifts at the moment. But I miss it heaps, because it's so incredibly strengthening. Like I've never been stronger, like amazing abs and arms, and but yeah,
feels good.
But I've never into the gear.
An 11 pack.
No, the 11s is like on a lady. Instead of having full 6-pack, you just have the sides.
Oh, okay.
And then it's so you don't look like She-Hulk.
Oh, right, okay.
I see. I don't know these lingo terms.
I maintained that I would have a 6-pack if I stopped drinking wine, but I'm not willing to make that kind of commitment.
That's fair enough.
No.
I've never had
my trainer, because I used to do personal training here until, again, my job sort of took over, and the times didn't match up. But he used to say to me, I've never met anyone like you. Like, you come here, you run for an hour, you do weights, you do all this, and then I see you driving off with a cigarette in your hand. Like, what the fuck? And I'm like, dude, that is the pure reason why I do these classes, is so that I can maintain my incredibly unhealthy lifestyle in every other aspect of it. Like, I'm off to McDonald's to get myself a cheeseburger. Like, this is not for any health and fitness reasons other than maintaining the everything else I do that's shit. And so now that I'm not pole dancing and I'm not exercising and I'm not doing anything, I'm just sitting on my ass or working, I feel like I need to get back and do something something active.
It's just good for the brain.
Yeah. I've never had a pole in my house, but years ago, like 12, 13 years ago, I had a house I was renting. The previous tenant had MS, multiple sclerosis, and they had this whole system, like there's these pulleys and tracks and stuff, so they could move around the house.
Yeah.
And there was all the harness and stuff. So they moved out, and these tracks with this big hanging thing was still there. I could never convince anyone who visited that they weren't like for sex swings or something.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, honestly, I didn't put them in, and they're like, yeah, okay, yeah, that's, we're not questioning. It's just, like, no, okay, fine, whatever.
Just go with it. Yes, that's for our elaborate sex acrobatic championships, and you're not invited. What does that say about you, mate?
Exactly. Yes, I've never let you in here.
Yes. Oh gosh. So how's our live chat going? Anyone saying anything interesting? Come on, let's go.
Well, I'm just kicking someone out of it.
So why? Who are you kicking out?
Just someone who's been making obnoxious transphobic. And they're a bit obsessed with you having blue hair. I like Megalich is very knowledgeable on the whole piercing.
He is, but he could be just reading my article.
No, well, he apparently did piercings on himself, which is...
Oh, wow. Oh, my God. What did I love most about it? What? Oh, it's going too quick. Ah!
No, they were asking... that was actually... No, I think that was actually to Viola about the piercing. What was the best about it?
Just knowing that.
Oh, I don't know. Just always says, Eva, what did you love the most about it?
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. That was ages ago. You must be...
I know. I'm back. So... And then someone's going, what was the trans comment?
That was just someone trying to cause trouble. That's
they're fun. Oh, well, just log on to Adult Matchmaker, or it should be on my Twitter somewhere. But it's like the third or fourth article down on Adult Matchmaker's blog at the moment. We can put a link in, I'm sure. Andrew can put a link in.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, even just, follow Deliciously Bad on Twitter. And you still use Viola the Human on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always good to keep up to date.
Oh, my tongue piercing.
I used to. I should. I have a shoot coming up with Jazz soon. Do you remember Jazz XP?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's one like I was going to say. When you're saying Jazz, I'm like, who's Jazz? Yeah, he's like one of my best buddies. I love him. We won awards together a couple of years ago. We went off to the Totes Crap Australian Adult Industry Awards because we both got nominated, and I happened to be in Melbourne at the time. I'm like, let's go, and we won, which was hilarious because we both had not much nice stuff to say about the awards. No, he is awesome. He is such a good photographer. I love his stuff. A lot of the photos that I use on my Eva Sless page, I know that the main one is one of his that he took of me. Hey, Jazz XP, say hello. Give him a love. He's the one that makes it. He calls it the first time I met him, and I'll always give him shit about this because it's hilarious. We met at an Oz Kink Fest, I think, or a Fetish Expo or something, and I was with another friend and he came up and he was all like a bit nervous, and I'm like, oh, hi, I'm Eva, or I said something and he's like, oh, you're the Eva Sless. I just went, what the fuck, dude? And so now he just always gives me shit about being the Eva Sless. I'm like, dude, you're the fangirl. Like, I can't. But no, I thought that was quite funny. But yeah, awesome. What's it a shoot? Just a glam type shoot, or is it going to be like themed or?
He has he's doing a shower series.
Oh yeah, I've been following those. Oh, cool. I've always wanted to do a slightly more or slightly less clothed shoot with him. But we had these ideas ages ago to do this thing
very good.
with lots of smoke and shadows, and I had all these ideas, and then I moved up here. So we'll get it one day.
Sorry, I was just going to kick someone else out of the chat.
Why? What are they saying? See, I have to keep swapping back. Are they being mean to me? Do I think people are born evil? That's an odd question. What's that in reference to?
Sorry, what question are you asking?
Eva, do you think people are born evil?
Oh, Rain's just trying to give us a topic for conversation.
Oh, right. I
So
don't know. Born evil. Oh, look, I don't know.
Well,
I think that there's a bit of nature nurture, but no, I don't think they're born evil, but I think that what can happen around them can make them evil. I don't know. That's a deep and meaningful question for another time, maybe, because we're probably running out of time for today. But
okay. For this, we're going to do for the recording about an hour, and I think we will have about still 20 more minutes. But we kind of touched on another topic that was related to something Viola and I mentioned in chat that we could talk about, because we've been talking about various things, doing photo shoots, pole dancing, stripping, and Viola, you mentioned the idea of supposed, female positive environments being really whorephobic, and I had a little chat with Eve, and I feel like that's related to even within, the sex positive world, there's the whoreocracy as well. People being judgy about
different types of work as well, and I feel like I've kind of seen a spectrum of it as well, because I've worked in so many different parts of the adult industry, and now I'm no longer in the adult industry. I see it from another perspective as well, and so I started out as a cam girl, and so many cam girls would be, I'm not a slut, I'm not a hooker, I'm not a whore, I'm not whatever. Thinking that they're somehow better than another human being. And then I've worked in strip joints where they'll be like, I'm not a whore, I'm not a hooker, I'm not a lit, whatever. And it's just this idea of being better than. And then working in brothel work as well, there's people even within a brothel that somehow seem to think that they're better than other people that are working. Like the day shift girls will think, at least I'm not a night girl. And then the night girls will be like, at least I'm not one of those lazy day girls. And it's just this constant desire to be better than.
And also, there's so much of that shame and stigma that gets put on people in the sex industry. And although I know these sort of things happen in all industries and in all kind of areas, but there's this sort of, this idea of, okay, I might be working in the industry, but I'm not like those nasty girls. And it's really interesting. And we talked about this. It's like the strippers. Well, I'm a stripper, so I might take my clothes off, but I don't have sex for money. And the sugar babies are like, but I don't. It's just it's a donation, and it's like we're all just under this umbrella of the sex industry, and the more we infight and us and them each other, the harder it is for us all to. If you can't be unified within yourself, and yet trying to ask the rest of the world to kind of, be allies, it's really tricky because it can be really confusing to, I guess, the rest of outside society of, well, who am I supporting?
A defense mechanism as well. Like they're doing it because they're defending themselves against this negative perceived notion that's coming from outside of them, and they've been taught that one is better than the other. But you're all humans at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen big fights start online, like on Twitter and whatnot, when a really literally a big name porn star disses full service sex workers.
Yeah.
And besides the fact it's not helpful, I also feel sometimes with whom do you think you are scoring moral points? Who is going to judge a full service sex worker and not judge you. So why the hell are you doing this?
Yeah.
It's
and you see it a lot in you know, within the sort of different, even with full service sex workers, you have that kind of, you know, well, but I charge X amount, that makes me better than those dirty, you know, girls that charge, you know, Y amount. And it's like, you're all sucking cock for cash. It shouldn't matter if you're doing it, you know, behind a skip in an alleyway or in a $1 million penthouse. You still got a cock in your mouth and you're getting paid for it. There are, you know, levels of all industries and all businesses, and all are valid and all deserve some kind of respect and some kind of, you know, just and also when you do get those elite girls, because it's usually quite often the elite girls that are bagging on the not so elite, it's like Andrew said, who are you trying to impress or get onto your side? Your clients are not the same as their clients. Like they're not taking away your business. You know, those guys that are able to afford to see a girl at a lower price are not going to be spending their thousands of dollars here. And then there's that clients have that hierarchy side as well, that they're better than because they can pay more, or they can find a discount somewhere or whatever. You know, there's all these weird kind of sort of levels of this sort of these levels of who deserves the more respect than the other person. And it's bullshit. Like, everyone's just doing a job, and you're right, I don't see whose side it's supposed to endear you to. You just come off like a bitch.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And it's disappointing. And you see, particularly at the moment, because of Sesto and Foster, there's so much censorship going on online at the moment. And it was very disappointing for me as a pole dancer who was a former adult industry worker to see people suddenly be like, oh my God, we're being censored because all the pole dancing hashtags and accounts got banned and blocked. Sex workers have been talking about this for over a year.
Yeah, I saw this thing about burlesque dancers having their Instagrams being shadow banned and things, and everyone's saying, well, if you'd fucking listened to sex workers instead of going, oh, but we're not like you, you're all like us. You're women, you're being sexy, therefore someone is going to try and oppress and repress that and take you off. And we've been telling you even before Foster and Sester, we've been telling you that this happens to women and people who are free sexual agents and not afraid to advertise it. So, yeah. And, you know, it's really interesting, though, how, you know, I read back over some of my old pieces that I used to write, and I used to write a lot about sex work. And, you know, one of my very first jobs as a writer was writing a sort of Belle du Jour type column in an Australian magazine for quite a number of years. And I very much suffered from my own internal sort of misogyny and my own internal hierarchy and whorephobia, in that, which I have unlearnt over the years and over many years of activism. But I'll read through some of those old columns, and there's so much of that. Oh, I'm a sex worker, but I don't work on the street. Oh, I'm a sex worker, but I'm not a hooker. I'm not a whore. I'm not a this. And I cringe hard. I cringe and I hate myself. And I feel like a lot of these stories actually could, you know, like Andrew and I've been talking about over doing some kind of Fringe or some kind of live reading sort of stuff, how much within the last sort of 20 years of being within this industry have my attitudes changed, and how embarrassed I am at myself for some of the attitudes that I used to have about sex industry and different sorts of workers and the different ways that we do it. So I do understand that we all have to learn, and a lot of these, and you're right, a lot of the times when I do see these things on Twitter, they are very young workers sort of getting you know, cutting their teeth in the industry and feeling like they kind of know it all because we all thought we knew it all at some stage. And you know, the only hope I have for them is that they learn and that they can come onto a YouTube video one day and cringe at how awful they once were, you know, because if you can't learn from it, then that's the problem, I think, is the not listening and learning when people say that's fucked. Shush, listen.
I think you touch on a really important point there about unlearning behavior, because everything that we do that is kind of along these lines is learned behavior. We learn misogyny, we learn horophobia, we learn misandry even. We learn all of these behaviors over time that we can unlearn them as well. And it's difficult. It's confronting.
And that's similar to that question that was asked in the comments about can people be born evil? I don't know if they're necessarily born evil coming out going, yeah, I'm going to murder people or whatever, but being certain people are definitely more susceptible to certain, you know, there are people that could grow up in a similar situation than someone who grew up to be a serial killer and doesn't become a serial killer. So I think that there'll be that kind of nature nurture thing of what kind of personality or whatever you're born with in the first place, how susceptible you are to certain triggers or certain things. But we can all learn and unlearn behaviors that we grew up around, I think. And even not understanding like that you've grown up around it, because it's not something that's just come in such a straight linear way that a lot of things like for example, that internalized whorephobia that I had, that didn't come from anything that I know directly. That just came from the world around me of how I guess we've always been told or perceived sex workers or sex industry people to be. You know, you've got your happy hookers and your poor, you know, in need of rescue hookers. Yeah. And there's so much in between, and very few of us actually need to be rescued, and not in the way that rescuers want to rescue us.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the big difference is people who can learn or are willing to learn, and the people who just dig their heels in and double down. And it's like, why are you doing that?
But that would be part of that learned behavior as well, of that kind of adamant of not being wrong or admitting that you've made a mistake or at fault. So I think, you know, everything could be unlearned. It just takes a lot of unraveling, and a lot of the people that need that unlearning aren't going to take those steps to unpick it because they don't believe they need to or it's necessary. So it's a big kind of weighted down bog of marshmallow trying to pull it all apart, I think. I just wish that more people were willing to reflect and look at themselves. And, you know, there's a lot of behavior that I'm quite proud of, that I've kept up in the work that I do, and that it's quite consistent in my writing and in my stuff that I say. And I think that's also, I think, something that makes people kind of get that I'm quite genuine, because I will sort of admit my faults or my mistakes, but the core of who or what that I've always been is sort of there. So I guess I come off as quite genuine, I think. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's remarkable sometimes how big an impact you have on people if they ask you something or they challenge you on something, and your response is, that isn't something that I know enough about to have a particularly informed view. People are so used to everyone coming with bam, bam. If something comes up and you admit, that isn't something I know a lot about,
Yeah,
it would be right if I had a really definitive view. Sometimes people are so taken aback. What do you mean you're not just instantly giving me a hot take? Why are you reserving judgment?
yeah.
I've been working with that in the past of, I guess, reading maybe one article from like one particular news source and then thinking I know the whole story as well. I think I had a conversation about this recently with a friend of mine, where they were always very skeptical about the opinions that I had formed about specific topics around racism and religion and I guess current events, basically, where we kind of both were skeptical of each other's sources constantly, that we ended up like having a whole conversation about where we find information and where the best place to go and what we recommend to each other was. And it ended up being a really constructive conversation in that way. So instead of trying to prove to each other that we're the most knowledgeable and we know better, it ended up becoming a really healthy and productive resource sharing opportunity.
Yeah, because that's the thing as well. You definitely have to consider the source. You know, I've got a friend who I think is wonderful, and I think she's quite smart in a lot of ways and everything. But she is one of those natural news sharers, and things that are just some of them are so outlandish and so ridiculous. And I just feel like, you know, you are smart. You're smarter than this. You should know that these sources are not legitimate. But, you know, you can't. Some people just think they know, and, you know. you know, you want to stick crystals up your hoo-ha, make sure it's a non-porous crystal. That's all I'm going to say. Because there are some non-porous crystals out there, and if you do really believe in that healing chakra of crystal fucking whatever energy, good on you. And you know, but yeah, quartz will really do bad shit, and jade will do bad shit to your bits. So find some nice non-porous. I don't know. I don't even know what crystals you would use, because I think it's bullshit. Just use fucking glass. It's pretty enough.
Yeah. I have like one of those crystal eggs that's made out of glass, and I tell you what, it can be fun time.
The glass toys are really
It's
good.
not going to align me any more than my vibrator is going to, you know?
Yeah. No, that's right. That's right. And you know, there is something very spiritually aligning about an orgasm and about finding that center and that tuneness in your body. I get that. I might be a skeptical fucking anti-woo person, but I do believe in, you know, energies and those sort of, and positive thoughts and affirmations and all that sort of stuff. If it makes you feel good, then it makes you feel good. But it's not the fucking crystal that's making you feel good. It's the orgasms and the stimulation and all that. And you can get that from non-dangerous products.
Wash your hands, go have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then wash your hands again.
And pee. Don't forget to pee after sex.
Always.
It's almost like if Gwyneth Paltrow tells you to do it, don't do it.
Yeah, pretty much. If it's on Goop, leave it.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, no steaming your vagina. Just leave it.
Yeah. I had a big falling out with people, not for woo-woo stuff, but again with the sharing, and they shared this thing on Facebook, and it was from an anti-feminist hate site. Like, it wasn't simply a point of view I just disagreed with. Everything on this page was the most vile, aggressive, anti-feminist hate, and it was also factually incorrect. And I went to town on him, and I was like, what the fuck are you doing?
Good.
And a bunch of people said I was going too far, and I'm just like, fuck that noise. And in retrospect,
some people deserve to be told.
If someone said to me, you didn't handle that in the best way possible, I'd say, arguably, yes, but I wasn't wrong. I never said anything factually incorrect. It was fucked, and he should have been ashamed of himself, and it's bullshit, and don't fucking question me, you're just wrong.
If you're going to post an opinion publicly, you've got to be willing to receive the feedback publicly as well.
Well, that's right. And that's like that piece a while ago that was the whole "No, you are not entitled to your opinion," which was well written. I'm pretty sure, I think it was a conversation piece. It might have even been Jeff Sparrow. I'm not sure. Sorry if I'm miscrediting it to somebody else. It was such a good piece. But there are, you know, opinions are for things like, you know, I prefer peanut M&Ms over plain M&Ms, and opinions are for things like, you know, double denim is the coolest thing in the world and things like that. It's not for who deserves fucking human rights and basic healthcare and those sort of things. And it's like, that's not an opinion. It's like he's having, let's have a debate over whether Nazis are cool or not. No, it's not a fucking debate. And when they do have a debate, like that fucking ridiculous Sunrise having the debate over climbing Uluru, and then they have two white people who are on the side of climbing Uluru, and that's their debate panel. It's like, what? Do you even, like, fucking get a dictionary, motherfuckers? That is not a debate. That is white people stamping all over fucking cultural beliefs because they're selfishly cruel and don't seem to understand that if they want to go on about religious fucking freedoms, then that means all fucking religions don't climb the fucking rock. Like, fuck. I just went on a bit of a rant there. That gets me really cross. These ideas of religious freedom, when it's only actually we want Christian freedom to say what the fuck we want and everybody else can go to hell. Like, fuck. Yeah. So that sort of entitled to your opinion. Yeah, you know, save that for Tim Tams and do you have, you know, sugar in your coffee, not for fucking human rights and the lives of people. Yeah.
Or climate change. You can't have an opinion about climate change. You can accept the proven science or choose to reject the proven science.
Yes, but there is no fucking debate. Like, it's, yeah.
But yeah, I think there's something. But then there's obviously a grey area in the middle. particularly with social and cultural things, where it's opinion and you'd agree to disagree. But there's some people like when you get really disappointed in someone. There's a comedy writer from England who's behind a few really big shows like Father Ted and the IT Crowd.
Oh, yeah.
And he's a raving transphobe, and he's not just mildly transphobic.
No, he's
not
full on.
mildly misinformed. He's at the extreme hate fringe of transphobia. And he's an example of what I was saying before, someone who dug their heels in. Like, it's like, dude, okay, you had an opinion. It's a really, really wrong opinion. If you listen to actual medical and social and cultural experts, you would realize the flaws in your thinking. But he's doubled down so many times.
Binary genders only exist in Western culture as well.
And in no kind of, and this idea of when you've got these fucking
binary gender.
Yeah, exactly. And the transphobes and the fucking TERFs are like, oh, it's just science. It's like, you cannot use the term science if you don't actually understand that you're wrong about the science. Like,
it's discredited science. It's not even factual. It's discredited science. It's from a period of a really dark period of our history.
Possibly
it's fucked. It is so, and it makes me really angry.
Since been discredited. If you want to quote science, keep your facts up to date.
It's like the Wakefield stuff with vaccinations. It's like, this is a guy who has been struck off the medical board, had his license revoked, has had millions and millions and millions of scientists and doctors and immuno bloody vaccination specialists refute and prove that what he said was wrong, and yet they still, these anti-vax idiots, Jenny McCarthy's and all that, are still like, oh, but Wakefield's autism, and it's like, but that's
what's wrong with having a child
literally wrong.
Yes, what's
wrong with having a child with autism?
Exactly.
Yeah, what's so wrong with autism that you'd rather your kid be dead?
I know. And this, I work with kids with autism, and the idea that that these kids are less than is so offensive, but also this idea that you would rather have your child die of something preventable like whooping cough or measles or polio or whatever the fuck is going to come back now and maim our new, all our kids out there because some fucking yoga mum said, oh no, fucking autism. What is so wrong with having a child that's, a slightly different chemical makeup than another? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. But
because you're a reasonably rational human.
Yeah, I think you're right though. But the fact that this sort of there's the number of irrational people seems to be growing is frightening. These people that suddenly
they have a platform,
get an internet connection and think they know more than people that have been studying this science for 50 years or longer. Like,
well, it's easier to limit their reach prior to the internet because you had to find someone who was willing to publish your words.
Yes.
And they would end up very self-published with very small distributions. And now anyone with an Ethernet connection,
it can get out there. And if you appeal to people's prejudices and or fears, it tends to amplify quite a lot. I saw a great joke. I think it came from someone's Twitter feed that was just like, hey, remember when we used to think stupid people were caused by a lack of information? The internet sure disproved that, didn't it?
Yes. I was going to bring that up because it's so true, I think the internet has created an army of uninformed and unintelligent, well, not so much unintelligent, because these people think they're intelligent. You can read and they can extrapolate information. They're just getting it from the wrong places. And it's that confirmation bias as well. On the internet, you can find anybody to agree with anything, any hypothesis or any theory or any wacko-ness. And you get enough people in a Facebook group to believe something, there's your movement, there's your hashtag, there's your viral fucking whatever, and whether or not it's true. A lot of these things I see, like, for example, this thing it's doing the rounds again, is the story that post that the girl's like, oh, Australia isn't real.
Oh yeah.
And someone on that post originally was a joke. She and her friend, she had a friend who lived in Australia, and she's from, I think she's from Sweden or something, and they were having a Tumblr off or whatever they call it. You know, she was posting something, he was posting something or whatever. And she, in the end, was like, fuck you, Australia's not even real, and made this whole thing. And somehow it went viral because people thought it was funny because we Australians saw it and thought it was a good laugh. And so now it's being posted as if the original post was real. And, oh, God, look how stupid people are. And I'm like, no, you're the stupid one that can't tell that the original was a fucking joke.
Yeah.
It's just... Yeah, it really bugs me. It's like, it's more than people posting Onion articles and thinking they're true. It's people. Yeah, I think the internet has been a great thing and a terrible thing at the same time.
It's very powerful.
Yeah, I've always said the best thing about the internet is also the worst thing about the internet. The best thing about the internet is you're never alone, no matter how marginalized you are. Like, I grew up in a country town. It was so easy to feel marginalized and alone pre-internet. But you don't have to feel alone now. You don't have to feel completely marginalized. There'll always be someone to support you. The worst thing about the internet is you're never alone. And like, this is one of the more out there ones. There's literally, I think they call it the fields of the Nephilim, the belief that there's a secret valley somewhere in Europe where giants roam. There are people who literally believe that, and when you say you're an idiot, they will then share web posts with you to say, see, it's real. You go, no, that's just another idiot's web page. What are you...
Yeah, so, it's like the flat earthers.
Go find them for yourself.
Yeah. you can find anyone on there, to believe, and this is one of the problems that's coming up with this 8chan kind of bullshit as well. You find your tribe could be full of disgusting, murderous, hateful people, but you found them and they're nurturing you, and it's breeding this culture of disgusting, murderous, hateful people. And so, it is the best and the worst thing about this technology is you can find somebody that will agree with you, even if your outrageous ideas are deadly.
It's like that college humor video where they're like, what if Google was a person? And the person who walks in and says, vaccines are bad, and then he pulls out a whole big box full of things being like, well, actually, no, they're not. And then she goes, oh, sorry, vaccines are bad with quotation marks around it. And then, oh, okay, and pulls out one piece of paper and gives that to her. And she goes, oh, yep, great, perfect, now I'm validated.
Yeah.
It's a perfect satirical example of exactly what that is.
Yeah.
And the fact is that satire now so readily is reflected literally everywhere is terrifying.
It's that thing of there are so many articles now that you need the headline, this is not an Onion article. This is real. And almost every headline that has anything to do with Trump is like that. We're just falling deeper and deeper into this wild, almost absurd reality that makes no sense beyond the internet. If you were to say to somebody from 1990 about what was happening in the world today and the sort of president and the things that he was saying to the public, I mean, they would just not believe it. You really would be like, well, it is absurd. It is insanely absurd, and we are living it, and it's quite frightening. I have this sort of sheen of covering of despair and angst over me in so many ways. I just have to open the Facebook or the news or anything, and I just feel sick with worry and despair, but also in a kind of comedy of errors way, because it just seems so bizarre that is this actually really happening, or am I stuck in a Benny Hill clip and it's sped up and the music's going to start in a minute and someone's going to run past with their pants down? Like, I honestly can't tell anymore.
That would brighten it up, really, if someone ran around with their pants down with yakety sax playing when something awful happened. After every Trump press conference, his pants fell down and he ran around chasing Melania.
Then maybe it would be worth the murders and the racism and the ICE raids. It wouldn't be. I'm joking. Nothing is worth that. But it is so absurd, and it's so strange to me that this is actually happening. And
I just want to follow him around everywhere.
Yes.
Yes.
Just one guy with a tuba. Womp, 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 womp.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
Happier place. I think I want to wrap up the podcast that we've brought the tone up a bit with absurdism, which is
Yeah.
not.
We started.
That's what we need. This is the way our podcasts go, though. I love it. I love that we start on one subject and, end up so off the rails. It's great.
But that's why you get the gang together. So yes, we will do this as often as we can, even if Viola's going off traveling the world.
I can't believe you. I mean, I do. I think it is. I love following you. I follow your travels on your Twitter and stuff, and I am so jealous. It's the one thing that I, as a person, have not done enough of, and that's extensive overseas traveling to amazing places and different cultures, and it's something I want to do and will hopefully one day do. My daughter's going to be doing it in a couple of years. She graduates high school in a couple of years, and she's heading off to Africa, and it's just, I'm like, why can't I do things like that?
I'm very, 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 very lucky that I can do as much traveling as I do. I'm so fortunate that I'm in a position where I can do that I'm supported by my employers, that I'm supported by my loved ones, that I'm supported by just the people that I spend time with, that I can do this. I'm fortunate that I'm employed to a point where I can financially afford to do that as well. Like it's a privilege, and I think that needs to be something that a lot of people go, I'm going to go travel the world and find myself.
Oh, yeah.
You lucky son of a bitch.
Yeah,
honestly,
it's a very white thing, isn't it? That kind of traveling over to other places to find yourself. Like, go to the mall, find yourself there. Like, other cultures are not there to prop up your spiritual journey, Susan. Like, Jesus.
I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky to be able to have done as much traveling as I have. That's not saying that I haven't worked and paid through my hard work to get the money to go and do this, but I still wouldn't be able to do it if I didn't have the support, regardless of how much I made. So it's a very fortunate place that I'm in to be able to travel as much as I do.
Very lucky. I'm still incredibly jealous. and I hopefully I get that blessing very soon.
Find yourself is a good segue to sign off, because you're saying you can find all of us, Viola the Human on Twitter, Deliciously Bad on Twitter, and Angry Aussie on Twitter and other social medias. And hopefully you will find us both through podcasts and YouTube as well. But stay tuned. We'll be back. We love doing these talks. And take care of yourself, one and all. And until next time, farewell.
Bye-bye now.
Lots of love.
Mwah.
Right, and that's the bit where I'll cut out the audio. We're still live if anyone wants to.
I'm going back to look at the chat. Hang on.
Look at the chat. I'm
going to cheeky chat.
Excuse myself for a minute and come back.
Yeah. With just speaking about finances and travel,
if you know how to live off the land, you never need money to travel. You still need plane tickets and stuff.
Yeah, like I've done a lot of like cheap and nasty holidays. Like the first time I went to Japan, I think I was in Tokyo for a week, and it cost me, including flights and accommodation and activities, like $1,500 for that trip.
Oh, yeah, that's all right.
It takes a lot of energy to plan and find these cheap holidays, but then it's also people that you know being able to give you advice. And that's why I always say, when people are going traveling, hit me up for my tips. Like I'll tell you where, like in the country that I've been to, I'll tell you where to book accommodation. And it depends on the kinds of holidays you want to have as well. I've got friends that want to go on luxury holidays where they just spend the entire time in a resort. And like, that's the holiday you want to have, but it's going to cost you thousands of dollars.
I kind of get that, and I kind of don't in one. Like, it depends on where you're going. I always think if you're going to go somewhere, especially to somewhere that is so very different to the place in which you live, to go and actually live and experience the culture and the people and the food and the places. Why just spend all that money to go and sit in a resort that could just be here the coast, like, there's some beautiful resorts up here in Queensland, and, then every now and then friends and I will sort of go, yeah, let's splurge, and we'll get a spa room in one of the hotels that overlooks the ocean and stuff. And that's quite nice. But I don't think I'd want to do that somewhere where, I don't know, and especially when there are big sort of those socially economic places that are quite poor and things, and that money that you're putting into that, Hilton hotel is not going to go to the locals. You find a Airbnb or a bread and breakfast that's run by locals, or a little youth hostel, or
local, like when you're traveling in areas that are generally like low level, by our standards, low levels of sanitation, and they have different standards of hygiene and hospitality. Food vendors on the side of the street is the safest place to eat. So you might think that like the dodgy food stand on the side of the road is going to give you food poisoning, but that's going to be the last place, because the food is fresh. It's boiling hot when you're ordering. If you're ordering like a hot curry off of the back of someone's motorbike on the side of the road and it's boiling hot, that's the safest thing you can eat, because you're not going to get food poisoning because it's fucking boiled. If you're going to like a buffet at a hotel, you're probably going to get food poisoning because you don't know how long
it's been sitting in that bain marie for 6 hours, and it was yesterday as well.
You have to kind of let go of your preconceived notions of what is safe and what's unsafe, and kind of just live kind of outside of your own brain and really accept the information that's coming to you. So I went traveling through parts of East Asia last year with one of my very, very best friends. And this was her first time overseas. So I kind of felt quite responsible for her and her trip and making sure that she had a good time. But she wanted to go to this particular area that I'd been to in the past that's quite dangerous in Tokyo. Generally, women don't go there alone, particularly white women don't go there alone. And like Japan's probably one of the safest countries on the planet. But there's always going to be some areas that are safer and some that aren't. But she really wanted to go there. But knowing that there are risks there, you can take preventative measures and you can be aware of your surroundings, and the people that is okay to speak to and the people that's not okay to speak to. And there's certain ways of speaking to people as well. So you wouldn't walk up to somebody in that area and you wouldn't talk about gambling and you wouldn't talk about drugs. And it's not because they don't gamble, it's not because they don't do drugs, it's because you don't do that with them. And just being culturally aware and just accepting the information that comes to you is so
important.
I
think that's the thing, isn't it? It's that cultural awareness that so many Western travellers don't have, because they're unaware.
Yeah.
Well, they're unaware of any other culture other than their own. And if they are aware of it, they've got a superiority complex about their own. It's that white savior colonialization kind of thing of oh, but we do it better because we're civilized and you're savages, or whatever fucking white bullshit it is. It's this kind of idea of just that elitism of Western culture is better or safer or whatever, and I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate I hate being sometimes I hate and I as you can see, I'm not completely white, but I really hate the white bits that I have. Like that sort of it's that my mother and I used to always laugh about the fact that we were self-hating Jews, and now we're like self-hating brown Jew, self-hating whites. Like it's just like fuck. We've got these kind of like that's it's hard to kind of extrapolate yourself from the culture that you are within to I guess look at that within it and go, oh, we're all fucked. White people are shit. I'm so glad I don't look completely white. It's like, used to be a long time ago, my friend who was a beautiful Fijian girl, and she was lighter skinned than her sisters. And she used to say, she used to talk about the difference between how she would be treated and her sisters would be treated because she was lighter skinned than they were darker skinned. And I sort of having that sort of same but opposite thing of I'm so glad that I can pass for non-white these days. It's really
Whereas I'm
I feel very blessed with my brown skin.
I'm mixed. I'm white passing.
Yeah,
So
and
I'm
I'm just all
part
Scots,
Pakistani.
Scots Irish all the way down.
I'm part Pakistani, part Jewish, but very white.
Yeah, and it's funny because my dad and I are probably the only people in my family that have the brown Israeli skin. Everybody else, my sisters and my mum, are all quite. Yeah, my younger sister can tan quite well, but her sort of darkest tan is my winter glow kind of thing. And if I get out in the sun, then I go very, very dark skinned.
I remember wearing your makeup once and it didn't work.
No. And that would have just been a moisturizer as well, because I don't wear a lot of. But yeah, it's you know, I've always loved my skin, but I love it even more now that I can be like, yeah, I'm not white. Don't you dare call me a white person.
It's a funny thing, like through Twitter particularly, but online generally, I've managed to make a lot of friends around the world, different cultures, non-white people, and particularly anyone non-white in America, you get a different insight to things, which I find quite useful. But one of the phrases I picked up, because they pick up these ridiculous stories and tag it with, what white nonsense is this?
I love those threads. I live for them because I'm like, it's absolutely true.
It's that whole thing. It's similar to white people having no culture. And, you know, it's like, but I just went to a gender reveal party for rabbits, and I can tell you they didn't steal that from anyone. Oh, yes.
The bros in Sydney with their failed sushi pizza restaurant.
Yes.
Award wages.
And they're blaming award wages. No, mate. No, it's just your pizza sucked. Oh, yes. I think it's hilarious.
A good rant for another day, got onto that white savior tourism thing. There was an article published this week. Some American chick with no experience in anything.
Oh, yes, in Uganda.
And killed 150 kids.
You're fucking kidding.
No.
What the fuck?
Because she was treating them for malnourishment, because she called herself a doctor, and she set up this clinic for these poor families to come and bring their malnourished children to the white doctor. She's some 20-year-old fucking college grad.
Yeah, she killed 150 kids. So rock and roll, white saviors.
That makes me want to just like.
And I saw someone saying, I saw on one of the comments, and it just was like, oh, someone was saying that because she treated like 900 kids or 1,000 kids there and 150 died, and they were like, well, you know, those kids probably would have died anyway, so maybe the other kids, you know, maybe she saved them, and you know, we should be looking at the kids she saved. And I just think she's a 20-year-old or something, white chick from Iowa or something that went over there.
That she is a white Christian background person who has no experience in nutritional health, has no experience in pediatrics, and thinks that just giving someone food treats malnutrition.
Yeah, her qualifications was whiteness. That was
that was her quals.
That was it. She believed her being a white, and she wasn't an evangelical American, it justified her saving the Browns.
Concept of like
this idea of, you know, and there's so many of them, those rescue. The purpose
of my trip to India is, via my work, is to go and literally, because it is so difficult to get resources to charities in certain countries, what we're literally doing is we're just packing massive suitcases full of educational supplies like books, pens, whatever these schools are requesting, sports forms and equipment and cash, and we're just bringing it into the country, giving it to them, where the qualified people who are from that area, who are qualified to work in that area, giving it to them, and then fucking off home again.
And that's how you charity, and that's how you white savior. You know, it's those people that go over with their, you know, all the intentions in the world. So it's that, you know, and you hear it here a lot. I'm not racist, but white people did so much for the Indigenous Australians. Like what? Like murder them and rape them and take them away from their homes, and like that's not, you know. And talking about this idea that white civilization is inherently better than whatever was here before, and therefore it's like, no, that is racist. Like taking people out of their cultures or coming into their cultures and spreading your white mayonnaise bullshit all over it is not helpful. It really is so, and I hear fairly intelligent, what you would assume non-racist people who do believe that white colonisation of Australia was the best thing for the Indigenous people purely because it's, they've got houses and electricity. What? They weren't dying of non-housing or non-electricity before we got here. Yeah.
Who asked them what they wanted?
Yeah.
And that's the thing as well. If you're going to provide, like, example, if, say, you see someone who is sleeping rough on the street, don't just presume that giving them a coffee is appropriate. Don't just presume that giving them shoes or socks or whatever you think that they need is the appropriate action. How about you go and say, hi, my name's Viola. Is there anything that I can help you with today? I don't have cash, or here's some cash if I have cash. I'm one of those millennials who doesn't carry cash. I pay for everything with my phone. But
I'm scared of using my phone for payments. That's the difference in our generation, isn't it? I'm terrified of.
I don't keep money in my bank account. I have to transfer money every time I want to spend money. I'm that person who the kid is like, oh, sorry, quick. Go up to them and say, hey, is there anything that you need? And like, say it's a really cold day. The other day I went up to someone who was sleeping rough and it was cold and it was raining. I said, hey, is there anything that you want me to go buy for you? I'm sorry, I don't have any cash to offer you today. Is there anything you need? Do you need cigarettes? Do you need water? Do you need hot food? What is it that you need? And he wanted chocolate milk. And it's not something that I would have presumed that he wanted. And he was so surprised.
And I think that's, it's a weird thing with this white saviour charity bullshit is that, you assume you know what the person needs and you're doing a good thing to go and bring them whatever you think you need. And on the surface, I see, yes, okay, that's very nice of you. But you're right. Why not actually treat them like a human being and go up and say, hi, my name's such and such. Is there anything I can get for you? Or do you need anything today? And you know what? They might turn around and say, I want a big bottle of Jack Daniels. And you know what you offered? You go and fucking buy them that big bottle of Jack Daniels. Because if you're conditional on your charity as I will only help you if you want a cup of coffee or a hot meal, then you don't want to help them.
Yeah, so many people are like, oh, don't give them cash because they're going to go buy drugs or alcohol with it. Fuck it, that's their money.
That's what I was going to buy with it anyway, mate. Like, fuck. That's my thing is, what do you think I was going to spend it on? And it's not up to me to judge if I'm giving you charity, it ends the minute it comes out. I can't tell you how to dictate how you, if I want to help you out, I want to help you out. And and fuck me, man, if they want to spend it on drugs and alcohol, they're sleeping rough. Who knows the situations that got them there? If drugs and alcohol are going to help them make that moment a little bit nicer for them while they're going through whatever crap it is that has got them into that situation, I'm quite happy to be the person that helped them out with that, because a little bit of warmth goes a long way, and human compassion is such a warming thing. And so is a fucking bottle of bourbon if you need it. Like, I just feel like, the judgmentalism of charity givers is like, the charity should be unconditional. I think. I really do believe
they're going to fucking cook them. Like, think about
right. And there's the people that are like, like I've gone out and done my bit in things like I've worked soup kitchens and I've taken blankets out, and I haven't done as much as, I probably should, and I could do. And that's something I'd like to change a bit as well. But you see these people out there that have just never done anything but maybe put a coin in a Salvo's cup, sort of, acting all high and mighty about what people, might spend their charity money on. And I just think, fuck, you have no idea the situations that people are in and how close you yourself are to being in that situation if you lost your job tomorrow and couldn't pay for your mortgage and couldn't pay for your medications and couldn't pay for your kids and couldn't pay for whatever it is. You'll end up in your car or on the streets. Like, it's so close to all of us, something like 2 paychecks for all of us to end up somewhere. And that's scary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I think I'll sign off the live stream. We've been going for about 2 hours now. And so thanks everyone for hanging out. And anyone who watches this back later, I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, we'll be back, but we'll say bye for now.
Bye. Oh, I'm just going to say here, this Rain Christina, she likes me. Or he, sorry. I don't want to gender.
Oh, actually, yeah, I should answer. Rain was asking me before if I'd had, I think it was like that buffalo grass vodka. And the answer is no, but I'll also throw in, I can't taste the difference between a lot of vodkas.
I've had the buffalo grass vodka, like Wirovka or something like that. It's Polish, I think it's Polish?
Yeah,
there's a Polish or Czech. And mix it with apple juice.
Okay.
There's a question here about sweatshops, which is something we can get into another time, I think, because I have big things about sweatshops. Oh, hang on. I'll type in the link for those. Just hang on a sec, Megaleech. Just give me 2 seconds and I'll put a link to all of my Matchmaker articles just on the chat there.
Or you could just go on Adult Matchmaker and say, I'm only here for the articles when you get found out, you know. Or your significant other thinks you're trying to get casual hookups. You go, no, I'm just here for the articles.
I'm just here to read the articles.
And you'll be telling the truth.
Oh, here it is. All right. This will take you through to my Matchmaker profile, not my Matchmaker dating profile, just the profile that I have there. And then you can click through. I'm pretty sure under this. So I'll just put it up. God, I hate this computer, honestly.
I'd like
enter.
to conversation.
Oh, fuck you. I can't do it. It's not letting me put a web address. Just go to adultmatchmaker.com.au and then / just go to matchmaker.com.au, go to the blog. It should be up on the top left-hand corner that says blog. Go to that and then find my name and click on that, and that'll bring up all of my stuff. I'm really sorry it won't let me put a link.
Yeah.
Put all the things on the Twitters.
Follow Deliciously Bad
on my Twitter at the top of my Twitter anyway. I don't know. I can't see my Twitter right now. And I don't want to open too many tabs on this computer because it's up.
Where are we? Let me see if I can find it quickly.
Send it to Andrew. He can post.
Yeah, it's linked. It's linked.
I'm doing copy link. I'm putting it in the Chatteroony now, but it's also on Eva's Twitter. But it's in the chat now too.
There it is.
And look, I can put it on, not the text on the screen. Who's someone with a pen and, because you can't copy paste that from the screen. Someone go with pen and paper and write that down.
HTTPS.
Yeah. It's done a short URL. So, but yeah, just Deliciously Bad on Twitter and you can find it. But yes, we're going to say goodbye to all you fun people now. And we'll hopefully see you again sometime soon. But say
it's been awesome. It's been a really good chat. I miss you, V.